Hello, I'm Pastor Josh Graber, and I'm the mission developer for a new ministry in the ELCA called Alt Year. It's a 9-month experience of abundant life together for young adults age 18 to 25, with our pilot site currently up and running in Toledo, Ohio. I'm thankful for the opportunity to introduce some ideas and practices with you today. In this session, we'll use an Alt Year tool for self-reflection and meeting others in order to develop practices to help us to share the stories of faith and to witness to the gifts, talents, and practices at work in the communities we are a part of. What does the word Lutheran mean to you? When Martin Luther changed his name to Luther, he did so because he wanted it to sound like the Greek word for free. When he signed his name, he wanted to show that the gospel had changed him and had freed him in a powerful way. In our lives, simple practices, even the signing of our name, can remind us what Christ has done for us and shape our perspective on the world. Our church is named Freedom, but what does a church named Freedom look like? A church that with Paul in Galatians can proclaim, "For freedom Christ has set us free." How can our practices remind us of what Christ has done for us and help us to share that freedom with others? Many people see Christianity as a boring way to live. They assume being a Christian means ascribing to someone else's understanding of how you should live life rather than experiencing freedom to see things differently than the surrounding culture and being free to be yourself. A church named Freedom could be an alternative to the values and dominant culture that allow for creative experiments, sharing of passions, and living into the promise that Jesus came to bring us abundant life. These characteristics can be key to meeting younger generations where they're at. But to live together in freedom takes some intentional framing. In the Alt Year ministry, young adult participants live in an intentional community of shared values and commitments. That doesn't mean life together is convenient or comfortable, but it's an experience that offers an opportunity for the kind of personal reflection through relationships that help these young adults frame their own lives as they experience life together. In Alt Year, we use a tool called the rhetorical triangle to frame our life perspective and to help us value the lives and perspectives of others. Rhetoric is a way of understanding and interpreting others, often in order to influence them, but it can also be used as a way of honoring the other and learning to respect them. The following exercise starts with reflecting and increasing your understanding of yourself. One point of the triangle represents the cultures, communities, and traditions that are a part of your background and that shape the way you view the world. The second point represents the experiences and relationships that have had the greatest impact on your life and that shape how you see the world as well. The third point is your context. Context represents an understanding that your immediate surroundings and experience can impact your perspective and opinions as well. So why do we do this? How can self-reflection help us in meeting others? When we put a tool like the rhetorical triangle into practice, as we have done in this reflection, we can recognize that an increase of self-awareness can prepare us to honor another person and hear their story. We are more able to identify the cultures, communities, traditions, and stories that shape their background and the experience and relationships that have helped frame how they interact with the world. This is a way of living out the principle of loving your neighbor as yourself. The third point, the context, is the place where individual triangles meet. This place of meeting is where we have an opportunity to celebrate the uniqueness of the other, remembering that Paul in Ephesians 2 calls us God's masterpieces, and that Jesus says, "Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them." Meeting another person can be holy ground, but is also a skill that young people and older people often struggle with. Issues of our own identity can come to the surface when we meet someone new. Anxieties and fears can get in the way of deeper relationship. What are some of the things that might get in the way when you meet someone new? Maybe trying to impress them, looking at the meeting as a task to get done with, anxieties about not being interesting or cool enough. These are the types of issues that young people live with constantly. Gaining a more spiritual understanding of how to meet a new person can be incredibly freeing and empowering for any of us.